I'm gonna stop my video. Maybe we'll just share slides and hang out for 5 minutes.
Sounds great. Welcome, folks. We will get started with opening remarks in about 5 minutes. We're just letting other folks get in to the room.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to day 2 of the Library Evidence Synthesis Services Symposium. It is our second day of our gathering. So we are starting with some opening remarks, some housekeeping from yesterday, and a lot of enthusiasm. If today is anything like day 1, we are going to have a great time. Our speakers have so much to share, and we cannot wait for the content of the symposium today. Let's switch over to a few quick reminders. We have a code of conduct, and you agreed to this code of conduct when you registered. So just a reminder, we are here to treat everyone and their ideas with respect. If there is anything that you think might violate the code of conduct or makes you feel uncomfortable in any way, we do have a violation form here. It has been sent to all attendees. It's on our website. Don't hesitate to submit that, and we'll work towards resolutions with you. Now, your feedback is so important to the growth of LESS. We hope that the first day showed that we are here, we are listening, and we are more than happy to hear your comments, your ideas, your critiques as they come up, as we experience this all together. The formal feedback form on the entire conference will go out at the conclusion of our sessions on Thursday. So you won't have the full feedback form until we're completely done. It will be sent from Zoom events again, and we really welcome your feedback and ideas in that space as well. There is also a session feedback form that some of you may have seen. We found out some quirks with our session feedback form. Mostly that you have to stay in a session until it's completely over, until the host ends the webinar for this form to pop up. If you stick around that long and have some feedback you'd like to share about the session you were just in, you are more than welcome to fill out that form. It does go to us. We are keeping an eye on those. And we've gotten some great suggestions in the session form as well. So if you're looking for where to submit individual session feedback, you do have to stick around in the webinar for a while, but you are also always welcome to email us, to reach out, to send a ping, to send a chat. And we're happy to track your suggestions as well. Now, a tiny bit of housekeeping. I found out how to add GIFs to the presentation yesterday, so that was exciting. Peter Jackson and the other fantastic hashtag medlibs who are really active on social media thought about it more than we did, and they went ahead and created a hashtag for this symposium. It is hashtag LESSS2024. You can feel free to use this on the social media platform of your choosing. If you are a social media person, you want to highlight some insight shared during this symposium, I'll share I was nosy and it finally got me to make a Blue Sky account where I will probably exclusively post flower pictures. But the hashtag does exist and it's really active. The folks on social media are a really welcoming, insightful group who are contributing a lot to our experience as well. Registration is also ongoing. We hit our 1,000 person registration cap yesterday. So we did receive some emails from individuals who were trying to get in and couldn't make it. We have upped the registration cap another 100 people. So folks should be able to go to the Zoom events page, register, and access our sessions either live or via recording. However, we know word has gotten out a little bit more. If colleagues that you know are interested in attending live or viewing the recordings and they're not able to register on the Zoom events page for any reason, just tell them to email us and we'll make sure that they have access and they're added pretty quickly. That being said, I believe I'm about to turn it over to Cosette.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Janessa. I want to demonstrate how we are taking your feedback. We're paying attention to what you're sharing and give some also some recap of yesterday to celebrate some of the cool stuff that has been happening. So starting with the cool stuff that's been happening, we had 365 participants at our peak in one session. We also had a peak of 433 live stream views. We had 538 total chats that were sent between participants, and we had 57 folks view, well, 57 views of our recording so far, and that's within the first 12 hours of doing the first day. So that's pretty exciting. My favorite one is we had over 1,000 total reactions. So if you haven't been using reactions in Zoom yet, I encourage you to do so. They're one of my favorite pieces. Exactly. If you see in the bottom of your screen, we've got some celebrations, some hearts. Stay engaged, and I hope to see these numbers increase over the next couple of days. Like I mentioned, I do want to make sure that you know that we're hearing your feedback and that we're taking it seriously. And so I want to talk a little bit about how we plan to address some of the themes that have come up from day one. Regarding Q&A, we want to remind folks, please use the Q&A to ask your questions, and remind everybody that we are not using the raise your hand feature. As we just talked about, we've got well over 300 participants in each of these sessions, so we're not going to call on folks to unmute, unfortunately, in this setting. So from here on out, we are going to go ahead and lower any hands that have been raised and kind of assume that it might have been an accident. But if you are trying to get our attention, please don't hesitate to message us directly or even email us. We do have our email open, and we're going to show that email one more time before we close up these opening remarks. Questions that you ask will be under your My Questions section of the Q&A, and questions that are asked by others are going to be found under the All Questions section. This is just a reminder so that you have better access to seeing that list of questions while we're in the sessions themselves. To view answers that have been provided to questions in written form via the Q&A, you should also know that there is a hyperlinked text that says "See More" under each of those questions. Please take a look at that. If you have any trouble accessing those questions, though, and those answers, please know that we have a full list in a CSV file, an Excel spreadsheet file, and we are going to be sharing those later after the session once we can clean them up a little bit. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit more detail here in a second, though. Regarding chat, we were asked if we can adjust the chat settings so that folks can copy and paste. We were also asked if we could allow folks to do reactions on chats themselves or respond directly to the chats. And the really unfortunate answer is, to our knowledge, no. It looks like the accessibility that we have to adjusting webinar settings is a little different in Zoom events, the full package, than it has been in our experience for the standalone Zoom events or Zoom webinar features. So we also think that that's a challenge. We're definitely going to share that with the folks that are hosting our Zoom instance, but for right now, we'll just have to rely on the chat transcripts, which we do have access to, and we will be sharing with everybody later. Please be sure to double check that you are sending your messages to everyone, or that you're sending your messages to the people that you intend to send. We heard yesterday that some folks were accidentally sending only their messages to the host and panelist. I actually did that yesterday as well. I sent it just to the person who was moderating when I meant to send it to everybody. So just as a friendly reminder, there is a drop down near your text entry. And then one other thing that we wanted to kind of think about and reflect on was there was a lot of great conversation about ways that we can improve the conference as a whole and the experience in the chats during the session. But we are worried that that might be a little bit distracting from the presenters who have worked so hard to get their information to you in this quick format, the 15-minute, 5-minute formats. So we want to ask that we make a little bit of a change and move our chats regarding the discussions regarding the conference as a whole or other kinds of issues, move those to the lobby chat. Janessa and I and the rest of the LESS committee will pay extra attention to that lobby chat to make sure nothing gets missed. But that way we can make sure we're not distracting the session content too much, distracting from the session content too much. So please keep your chats in the sessions relevant to the presentations at the time. Two other things. So access to the content afterward. In the short term, just as a reminder, all of these recordings are getting uploaded I think it's taking about 20 to 30 minutes after we close a room for those recordings to become available. Slides that have been provided to us by presenters are also going to be available to you. In the long term, though, we have officially decided we're going to do an OSF repository, and we will be sharing that with everybody after the session. The things that will be included in the OSF repository are the chat transcripts, the Q&A, including the answers that are provided written form, all of those slides that have been provided to us or that presenters are willing to provide to us later, and including the recordings that you'll already have access to. Finally, we had some other recommendations and suggestions. One was for longer breaks. Unfortunately, we can't change the schedule this year, but it's something we're taking seriously in the coming years. And so we've added a question on the final feedback form to see how extending the time frame might affect folks' interest in attending in the future. And then, as Janessa's already mentioned, I just want to make sure everybody knows, because admittedly, I'm not a social media user, so definitely feel bad for overlooking this. But we have now a hashtag that you should be using on social media if you are a social media user. Thank you again so much for being here. And this was really all we had for you for the opening remarks. The next session is a workshop, and it's going to be starting at the top of the hour, and we are so excited to see that session. If we haven't already, maybe we can add that email in there for folks to contact us. Otherwise, Janessa, is there anything else?
No, but I did want to highlight a question from Elizabeth in the chat. They had asked, are transcripts only for the chat sessions or is this for the chat and the individual presentations? I wanted to make sure everyone knows that the transcripts are for the presentations as well as the chat. Even now the recordings are appearing with the transcripts. I am very impressed. They got my name correct. I mean, it was Vanessa, but close enough, but my last name was spelled correctly. We have not gone through and edited these transcripts, however, so it is what it is at this point. But there are full transcripts of each session of the audio that are available now and will be available in the OSF repository.
Thank you for clarifying, and thank you for asking also. I think that's a great question, both transcripts and chat.
Great, and it looks like because of the copy chat setting, we are unable to copy the email from chat, as happens. So it looks like it's being put into the Q&A, which should help out.
Not being able to copy and paste really gets some taking used to.
That is an early internet thing that you would think exists everywhere, but you know, we'll go ahead and put the email into the lobby chat as well, just so that folks have quick access. Yeah, so as we expected, we finished our opening remarks early. Folks can feel free to enjoy the next 15 minutes or so before the next presentation. We'll hang around and answer any lingering questions that you might have. And otherwise, we hope you're excited for day 2. We really are. And we're well caffeinated, so we're prepared.
See y'all soon. That's sure. Although I realized when I stopped sharing, it's just my face in the lobby, so I'm going to reshare.
You don't like the spotlight? I will stop the recording here.
Thank you.